Hello, welcome to Introduction to Databases and SQL. In this session, we are going to discuss the primary key constraints and also the auto increment keyword. Let's begin. So we know primary key constraint is one of the integrity constraints, and as we discussed earlier, every table should have a primary key. Every real-time table in a database must and should have a primary key, and that primary key is specified with this primary key constraints that we are going to discuss now. So what is the purpose of this primary key constraint or the primary key? It is uniquely identifying each record in a table. So the primary key uniquely identifies each record in a table. So record is nothing but a row. So if a table has 1,000 rows, right? And each row is uniquely identified if we have a primary key enforced. And as we discussed, primary key is a combination of not null plus unique. So primary keys must contain unique values and cannot contain null values. That means what? It is actually the combination of not null plus unique. And a table can have only one primary key, but this primary key can have single or multiple columns. A table can have only one primary key and it can have a single or multiple columns. You will understand this actually. A table will be containing only one primary key, that is fixed. But the primary key may be one column or it's a combination of several columns in the table actually. Okay, so how do we create the primary key? It's easy to understand because already we have created unique key. In the same fashion, we can create the primary key for a table. So using create table, we have two ways. We can specify the primary key at the column level here also. Otherwise, at the table level here, we can straight away specify. The second way is we can actually use the constraint keyword, and we can actually say that this is a constraint and this is going to be the primary key. And as I told, it can be a single column or can be multiple columns. And then for existing table, how you are going to create primary keys. So now in order to create a primary key for the existing table, we have to use the alter table command. So we can say alter table persons and add primary key. This is one way. Otherwise, we can actually say alter table persons and we can actually use the constraint keyword, add constraint name and primary key. So this can be or a single one or it can be multiple columns that we have to decide. If it's only ID, we have to make it ID. Otherwise, it's a combination of some keys, then we can actually make up also. And finally, how we are going to drop the primary key? So here that is very simple. So alter table persons, and I want to drop primary key because primary key is a single key for whole table. That means there is only one primary key for a whole table. So you need not to mention actually what is the column name or the field name here. So that particular primary key, whatever you set, it is single column or multiple column, will get dropped because every table contains a single primary key. So I'm just saying drop primary key. Whatever the primary key is there, that is going to get dropped. Okay, so whenever we create a primary key or a foreign key or a unique key, so we'll have all these options. While creating table, two ways are there, and while altering table also, corresponding to this first, we have the third one, corresponding to the second, we have the fourth one. So any of these syntaxes can be used based on our requirements. Okay, so let me also tell you about this particular auto increment so that I can straight away go to the MySQL and we can see practically. So there is an auto increment keyword in most of RDBMSs, and MySQL also has that. What does auto increment do? So auto increment allows a unique number to be generated automatically when a new record is inserted into a table. Okay, so a unique number will be generated automatically whenever a new record is inserted. So kind of a serial number. When I insert one record, so that's a serial number 1, then 2, then 3, until so on. As many records as you enter, so those many numbers will get automatically generated starting from particular point. Okay, and usually this will be used with the primary key field. Okay, so for our primary key field, the auto increment will be attached usually, so that we need not to enter the primary key automatically. It will be generated, right? So primary key is not null. So every time a number is generated, so not null is satisfied, right? Primary key is unique. So every time it generates a new number in a sequence, right? So that's why auto increment is usually associated with the primary key field. Okay, so by default, the starting value for auto increment is 1, and it goes on. And if at all we want to change the starting value, then we can actually change by using alter command. Firstly, how do we specify auto increment? So for example, id int not null auto increment. Okay, so later I'm making it primary key. So this auto increment is made with primary key. Okay, if at all I want to, now what happens here? It will start with 1 onward. By default, it will start with 1 onward. If at all I want this to be started with 100 or so, I can actually alter this table. So alter table persons, auto increment equal to 100, auto increment 200, whatever you want. You want to start from 1000, you want 1001. So you can actually say alter table persons, auto increment, and give the value. The auto increment will start actually from that particular value. Okay, so this is a theory, and let's now understand actually all of these things by creating the tables. So let me go to MySQL, and so let's see the database, select database. Yeah, so database, when we have to select database, we have to use this notation. Yeah, we are in MyDB, so I can increase a little font. Okay, so in MyDB, let's say show tables. So I have employee 2 tables, and person and persons. There are 2 tables actually. Now let me do system CLS, and yeah, so let me see about this persons table. What is there in this persons? Yeah, now you can actually see there is a persons table, primary key was there. Okay, L name, F name, age, everything was there. So now what I do is, firstly, I will actually I can actually create a new table. Otherwise, we can actually change this, since already primary key is there. So better it's always to create a new table. So we can create a new table. So these are just examples actually. If at all you want to use the same example, you can create like this: create table persons, ID int not null, L name, F name, age, primary key. So let's create a new table actually here. So create table. Now we will create a customers table. Create table customers. Okay, so in the customers table, what will be there? We will have a customer ID. Okay, we will write here. So customer ID, which is integer, and which is going to be not null. And I want to make this auto increment, because this is going to be a primary key to me. So auto increment, auto underscore increment. Okay, later I will specify my primary key, and that's going to be my primary key. And CNAME, customer name, and we can actually say varchar of whatever the character, so 50 characters max. And you want to say not null, we can actually specify not null. And customer ID, customer name, let's say customer city. So the other, that is nothing but city, or otherwise we can say country, varchar, and let's say the maximum is 20 characters, and country you want to be not null, you can actually mention. And what else? CID, CNAME, country, what customer will have, um, customer ID, customer name, customer in an Amazon or Flipkart kind of thing. Actually, I am looking at. So country is there. Of course, city can also be there, but that's fine actually. So now what I do? Okay, I have only three fields. Okay, I'm making it simple. Now I want to specify the primary key. Okay, so for a whole table, there should be only one primary key. Now I am saying primary keys. So SQL is case insensitive. You can use capital cases or small cases or mixed cases, no problem. And what is the primary key? So primary key is going to be CID, customer ID. That's it. Okay, so now a table is going to get created with three fields. One is a primary key, which is not null and auto increment, and CNAME and country both are actually not null values. Okay, so there is an error. Yeah, so one bracket I have missed actually. Oh, this is the problem. One bracket I have missed. So now I have to select, create everything now. Yeah. Create table customer, CID not null, auto increment, then CNAME, then country, then primary key, and I missed the closing bracket, so that's a problem. So closing bracket I will keep here. Yes. Okay, so let's say DSC customer, DSC customers. Okay, so this is how the table got created. So CID, which is a primary key, which is null, no, nothing is null, and it is extra has auto increment, and CNAME and country, which are not null actually. Fine. So if at all you want to see how this got created, so create table, show create table customers. Now you can actually see. So here we have the primary key CID. So this is one way of creating a primary key. And let's say system CLS is clears the screen. Now I can actually insert some data into it. So now see how auto increment will work. So insert into customers. So I need not to give that auto increment value, right? Because that is automatically generated. So I have not given any range, any value to start with. So it will start from 1. So insert into customers. So you need to give only the CNAME and country. Now you can provide the values. Okay, so country values. So now I am giving the CNAME, customer name actually. Let's say Ram. Okay, and country from India. Okay, I am giving one more. Let's say David from UK. 2 records I am giving actually. So query okay. Right now you select from these customers. So you can see that the CID got generated automatically. Select star from customers. Now you can see CID 1, 2. Right? If at all you want to insert 2 more. Okay, so just what you can do is just you need to change this. Let's say this is USA. And the name is actually, let's say Sarah. And here we have Sita. Okay, now let's see. Query okay. And when I select, now I have 4 records. 1, 2, 3, 4. Automatically, the CID value is getting incremented. Okay, so in the same fashion, I would like to insert the same data. It will get inserted because I have no unique constraint specified on my C name or country. So duplicates also can come, right? If I insert, it will come actually. But for what I'm doing is I'm changing this. Let's say I'm actually giving a country, let's say Canada, and I'm going to change the names here. So here I have was, and here I'm having, okay, so I have Joya here from Canada. Now you can actually see two records updated, select star from customers. Now I will have different people from different countries, right? And automatically it is getting incremented, right? So now if at all we wish to change this auto increment value from some other point, so the starting point should be somewhere, right? I can actually do that also. Okay, so for that, let me do system CLS. Okay, so now what I need to do is actually, so let me tell you. So this is the syntax. We have created auto increment, primary key, everything. So now to change the starting value, I need to alter the table. I need to alter the table and I have to give the starting value. Okay, so let me do this actually. So what I do, alter table customers. Okay, simply we need to say auto increment. What is the starting value? The auto increment value is going to be 100 and 0, 101. So I want next onward, the value should start from 101. Okay. So now it says query is okay, right? So auto increment value has got updated. Okay. So now I'm trying to insert two more records now. Let's see what will be the auto increment values. Okay. So now I have the person from Canada only. The name is Anshul. And here I have from India, I have Anil. Yeah. So two rows affected, and if at all I will select, then I will have 101, 102 coming up. So this is about auto increment, very easy and of course useful thing. So whenever you have a primary key, always better to use auto increment, okay, because it's not null and it's unique actually. So you just find out what values will be suitable to you. So from which value you want to start, from one or so. So as long as you are inserting the values, automatically the value will get incremented and it will get printed. Fine. Yeah. So now let's coming back to the primary key. So the primary key we have added like this. So create table customers. So in the first way, we have added actually our primary key. So as a table level, what I did, I have actually added primary key of CID. In fact, I can actually add here only CID int not null auto increment space primary key. Just I have to say primary key, because column level I am specifying, right? CID int not null auto increment space primary key. So that means the CID is going to be primary key, comma, then you can write all these things. And now you need not to specify over here. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to drop the primary key. I want to drop the primary key. Let's see how to drop the primary key. So alter table customers is a DDL command. So alter table customers. You just need to say drop primary key. That's it. You need not to specify which ID is the primary key, because there is only one primary key for the whole table, right? So alter table customers drop primary key. Yeah, incorrect table definition. There can be only one auto column and it must be defined as a key actually. So now the problem is it's actually saying there is an auto increment, and when the auto increment is there, now how you are actually going to delete this? Okay, so now what we need to do, first of all, I have to change that auto increment. I have to change that auto increment. Okay, there can be only one auto column and it must be defined as a key. So now I'm saying I want to drop it. So it's not allowing me to drop it because it's already auto column. So how to drop that? Now I will alter the table first of all. So the auto increment I will remove. So alter table customers. Okay, so CID int alter table customers CID int. So that auto increment I am okay modify CID which is integer, and of course it is not null, so let me keep not null, but auto increment was not there. Now query is okay. Okay, so now let me check whether auto increment has gone or not. So create table this thing. So now you don't see auto increment, but still your primary key is there. Right now, let me actually drop. Let me actually drop alter this primary key. Alter table customers drop primary key. Now query is okay. Right. So now you are actually seeing primary key, right? Now when I say show create table customers, now this primary key was not there. Right. So earlier I'm straight away trying to drop the primary key. It is not allowing me because auto increment was already given, because the auto increment will go with the primary key. So it's not allowing me. So what I did, I modified that column just as not null only. So auto increment was not there. So now I can actually drop it, and I have a table without primary key. Okay. So now how I can add primary key? How I can add primary key? Okay. So I have two options here, because I can use alter table I can use, and I can add, because the table is already there, right? So now I cannot use the second option, constraint pk persons. I cannot do, because table is already created. For other table I can do this, a new table I can do that. With a constraint I can actually add the primary key, but already table is there. Now I have to go with any of these two things. The first thing is easy, alter table persons, add primary key of id, or any other multiple columns are there, id comma so and so. So now I'm going with the fourth option. Okay, so now what do we do? Let me do system cls, and let me alter the table. Alter table. Okay, alter table, and what is the table name? Customers. So now here I am adding, actually add constraint, and you have to give a constraint name. So what is a constraint? I'm going to create a constraint for this customers table. That's the primary key. What keys you are actually making? So now I want the primary key to be combination of two things. Just the id is not enough, cid is not enough. So I want to cid plus cname. So both together as my primary key, cid and cname. So now let's see cid and cname. Okay, primary key, cid, cname. So multiple columns as a primary key. So that's the point here, right? I'm altering my table customers, and I'm making cid and cname both together as a primary key. Okay, so that means cid is 1, cname is xyz, and I should not have the same repetition 1 and xyz. So 1 can be there, but 1 abc or 2 abc, that is possible, but the same cid and cname value should not repeat. So I will actually tell you by writing, by inserting some data. So let me create it actually. So now there is, I think I have missed one thing here. Yeah, so what it says, check the manual, write syntax. Okay, so let me try again. Alter table customers. Okay, add constraint pk customers. Oh, I didn't mention primary key actually. This is what the problem. So primary space key. It should be primary key, right? So I didn't give that. So otherwise it is simple actually. Okay, now you can actually see, you can describe customers, Control C, DESC, customers. Yeah. So now you can actually see CID, CNAME for both. It was given as a primary key. That means both combinedly becomes a primary key. I don't have auto increment. I don't have auto increment because it's a combination, right? I don't have auto increment. So now let me see, select star from customers. Select star from customers. So I have different names. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the same values. I'm going to insert the same values here. So there is no auto increment. So I have to give now the CID value as well. So let me go to my insert. Yeah, so now let me insert into customer. Now I need not to specify these two things because I am going to give all the values because CID also I have to give. So now I am saying, yeah, so 103 Anil. It is possible, right? So 103 is possible. Is a new CID that is possible, and Anil is also possible because I have 101 Anil. 103 Anil is different from that record. Okay, so now Anshul is 102. I am just saying 7. 7 Anshul is possible. Yeah, 2 rows created. Now let me actually select star from customers. Now you can actually see here I have Anil, but primary key is what? Whole CID plus Anil is a primary key. So this is different from this, right? For example, if I try to give the same thing again, now it's a primary key violation. If I enter now, so there is a primary key violation, right? I want to give 103 Anil. That's not possible. 7 Anshul. That's not possible actually, right? That is a primary key violation. Okay, so when you combine two fields, okay, the same record with these two fields should not come. So that's a primary key violation. Okay, so hope you have understood it. Yeah, let me actually select star from this, and yeah, so I want to show how this got created. So create table customers. Show create table customers. What's the problem? Okay, it was gone like show. Yeah, you can actually see here create table customers, CID not null, CNAME, country, primary key, CID, CNAME. Right? So multiple primary key is a multiple column one actually. So composite key. Fine. So this is about the primary key. So whenever you want to create a primary key, just create the primary key with your create table statement by directly saying this. Otherwise, you can actually mention like a constraint while creating. So the table is already created. The table is already created. You can actually have alter table command to add the primary key. Okay, if at all you want to drop, you can drop always like this. Okay, so let me go to show tables here. So let me take persons table now. Let me take DESC persons. Let's understand something from this. So I have a primary key and auto increment is also there. I have a primary key and auto increment is also there. So let me now select star from persons. Yeah, so here 1 to 100 I have automatically auto increment was there, right? So automatically these values are getting. So let me actually go to person table. Show person, not show, DAC person table. So how it is written, let's see. Okay, so this is also having a primary key. This is having a primary key, then unique and age actually. So and this primary key, it's unique actually, it's not a primary key, it's unique. So let me show create table persons, create table person. Let's understand this. Now ID int not null, L name, F name, age int not null. Primary key is ID and age. The primary key value is both ID and age. unique key is this thing and unique key F name is also that. So what I do now here, I would like to delete the primary key. So how to delete the primary key? I have to drop it alter table person, alter table person. Now I want to drop this primary key. So I just say drop primary key. Primary key dropped. Now show create table. So you just have the unique key ID and name, and unique key was there, but there is no primary key. So for this, now what I want to do is I want to add the primary key as well as auto increment. Okay, so in order to add auto increment, what I need to do? Alter table person. Okay, so my ID is going to be ID int. I'm going to make it as not null. This is not null. And I'm also saying auto increment. Okay. And in fact, I can actually say this as a primary key as well. So alter table person ID int not null auto increment primary key. So everything I am specifying actually. Here auto increment primary key. It's not accepting the primary key like this. Okay, so let me first delete this system CLS. Okay, alter table person ID int not null. Okay, what I do here is after this auto increment, I will put a comma. Here add primary key ID. This is one way. That is the third option. Oh, again there is a problem. That means it's not with actually the primary key thing. This is ID. Okay, let me DS person ID int. That was unique already. Okay. Okay, there is data already and which was defined as unique. So that's why it is not allowing me. For that, I need to do something else actually. Delete from person. So everything I am deleting it. Query okay, 0 rows. Let me try this. Still, that unique key is actually creating a problem to me. Okay, so DESC show create table person. Let's see. Yeah, so it is ID not null, L name, age, unique key. ID is part of a unique key. Maybe this is actually creating a problem to me. Let me delete that also. Alter table person drop UC person drop constraint UC person. So this is how we can delete. And after this, let me see, there is no unique for this one. And now let me actually alter this by creating add primary key of ID. Yes, still there is an issue with the auto increment. Alter table person ID. This is an integer, which is not null. Person ID int. Let's say it is not null. space auto underscore increment. Spelling is correct only, right? Add no, this is not correct. Let me system CLS and I will tell you. Okay, this is not the correct syntax. The thing I am missing is modify. So alter table person modify. I have to modify this particular ID. So I'm not using the modify keyword. That's why it's actually taking this much time. So alter table person modify ID. Okay, int modify ID int. Then you can actually make it not null, and then you can actually make auto increment as well. So that keyword I have not used. That's the problem. And yeah, so what we do is we can actually also say primary key of ID. It should work most probably. No, primary key of ID is not required because already ID, that much is required. That's it. Yeah. So actually what has gone wrong is earlier I was not actually using this modify. I'm adding the constants. That's not the thing actually. So I want to change this ID to auto increment, and at the column level only I'm specifying, right? So I have to say primary key. I need not to say of. After putting comma, then I can actually say primary key of ID. So that's where it has actually happened. So otherwise, this is working good. So now let me clear this and then DES person. Now I have auto increment also come up. So now select a star from person. Now you can see empty set, right? So if at all you want to add actually, F name should be unique and ID is automatic. So now we can actually say insert into person. Now we have to specify actually because ID should not use L name, then F name, then age, and you have to give the values. And values, the values are going to be anything actually. So here L name, F name, and age, right? So now let's actually say here Joya is actually the L name. That's a F L name. Joya is actually F name. So I want to give one F name actually. L name, first I have to give Akhtar. Let us assume Akhtar and Joya, and let's say age is, let's say 40. This is one value. Let me give this for you, okay? And now I want to insert here few values actually. Okay, so I say Joe, and here I will say root, and let's say some 32 records inserted. So I'm not giving the auto increment value. I just want to show you select from person. So automatically 1 and 2 that is coming up. Now list value I want 101, or list ID I want 11 actually. So what I need to do? I just need to change the table. So alter table person auto increment, alter table person auto increment equal to 11. I want to start from the 11 now. Query okay. Okay, so now I want to insert. Okay, so now I am going to give some value, let's say 42, and here so I can say Henry, and here Sarah. Now you can actually see one row inserted, and when I select everything from this, now I have my auto increment starting from the 11. Okay, so this is about the primary key constraint and the auto increment, and very useful, and every table will be having this auto increment feature along with the primary key. So hope you have understood, and see you soon with the next topic. Thank you.